Okay, we are going to work on the height statistical analysis. So if you would just type what I type and use the same format that I do also. So in OneNote, this is the height statistical analysis assignment. So would you please put the title at the top in cell A1. Let's just call it statistical analysis. And then put your first and last name as what's in cell A2. And then let's skip a line and put heights of 7th hour. Put your hour. Then we are going to list students and then their height in feet and inches. Then we'll change that to decimal feet. And then we'll do some more with that. I'm going to go ahead and center these and bold them. So the capital B to bold, and the center is the lines with the center in it. If you need to make these cells wider, you can just double click between the cells up here on the gray like that. Okay, so I'm going to enter my students, enter the students in your class. Okay, and then let's enter their heights. So go ahead and enter the heights for the students in your class. Okay, and then we want to convert their heights to decimal feet. So to do that, we're going to use an equation. When you use an equation, start it with an equal sign, and we're going to take the feet. So click on the cell that contains the feet, and then click the plus sign. Then click on the cell that contains the inches, and we want to divide the inches by 12. So it changes these feet and inches to decimal feet. It puts it in a decimal. And let's make that have 2 numbers after the decimal. So I'm going to click this little button, decrease decimal, till there are just 2 numbers. Okay, and I want to put a border around this. So I'm going to highlight everything I want bordered and click this little black pull down menu and say all borders. And we could center all that if we wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to come down 3 rows on A16 and type the things that we need to calculate. We need the mean, the median, the mode. What else do we want? The min, the max, n. That's going to be the number of numbers in our data set. The range and the standard deviation. And I'll border these things. Okay, so we're going to use formulas to calculate these. So the mean is going to be the average. So it's if I just start typing equals and then average, that function pops up. So if you'll double click on it, and now it's saying what cells do you want me to average? If you'll just highlight the whole column of decimal feet, and then you can just hit enter. And there's our mean. The median, there's a function called median, so just start typing it and it pops up. Double click on it and then highlight your decimal feet column and hit enter. Same for mode. And on the mode, if there's more than one, we want to see it. So select mode.molt. And then highlight your decimal feet numbers. And then if there were more than one mode, I'm going to pull this over and it's going to show it to me. Oh, that's weird. Oh, let's see. Let me see if because there should have been more than one mode. Let me try that again. Oh, I guess I had to pull it down. So when you enter these values, put more put like 3 blanks for the mode, because, let me do that again, just so you're not confused. So when you enter the mode blank, give it like 2 more spaces underneath. If you didn't do that, you can highlight underneath and do insert and insert some spaces. Because this one had 2. It had this height, the 5, whatever it was it 5'5"? Yeah, and then the 6 foot. So once I get those, then I'll delete out the extra rows. Oh, and this one's extra too. I'm going to delete it. So that's what it should look like. And make sure you're not just typing these values in, you're using the actual formulas. Because here in a second we're going to, like, I can go to this formulas tab and show formulas and see the formulas. You'll turn a page in with just the formulas shown. And then you'll turn one in with just the values shown. So you'll turn in 2 pictures. And then I can just click show formula and they go away. Okay, we're going to calculate the min. There's a built-in function for that. The max. Highlight that column, hit enter. And the reason we did the min and the max is because we're going to need that to do the range here in a second. We want to get the count. N is just the count of the numbers in our data set, so use the count function. Range, there's not one built in for range, so that's why we did the min and the max. It's the biggest number minus the smallest number. So put in equals, then click on the cell that contains the max, hit minus, and then click on the cell that contains the min, and then hit enter. And the range is calculated. Okay, to do the standard deviation, we're going to calculate what we did the other day in our summary statistics assignment. We took our x value and subtracted the mean from it. And then we squared that. So to square a number, or to show that something's squared, you hit this caret key. It's shift 6. And it's saying raise that value to the 2nd power. And put x minus mean in parentheses because we want that whole thing raised to the 2nd power. And let's add to our border here. So highlight those columns. Go back to the home tab and click all borders. Those are already centered, I think, but just in case, I'll center them. Okay, so to get x minus mean, I'm going to hit equals, and I'm going to click my decimal feet. Those are my x values in this column. Minus my mean. Click on the cell that contains the mean. And I want my D6 to change as I copy this formula down. I want it to be D7, D8. That'll change, but this B16 will never change. And if that's the case, I can put dollar signs in front of it, and it locks that value in there. That's just a built-in thing on Excel. Okay, and now I'm going to click on that cell and then drag it down, that little green box, and it auto-fills that formula for all of those. Then let's do that number squared. So I'm going to do equals, click on the x minus mean cell, and we want to square it. So do caret, that's shift 6, and raise it to the 2nd power. And then let's click back on that and copy that formula down. I want those to be 2 decimals. Actually, let's make these 4 decimals because that's how it was in the assignment that we did when we calculated that. So these are things that I'll need for the standard deviation. We did we summed that last column, so I'm going to type here sum. And then to calculate the sum of this, you can click just on this auto sum when your cursor is right underneath it, and it'll select the cells that it thinks you want to sum, and then just hit enter. You can do it that way, or you can type in equals sum, select that function, and then click those values. Either way works. Now we can calculate the standard deviation. So we're going to use the formula. There's one built in, but I wanted to show you this first. Equals, and we took the square root. So this function for square root, you just start typing it in, and we'll use this SQRT. And I wanted to take the sum, divide it by my number of values, so that was my n, and then hit enter, and that should calculate my standard deviation. And you might just go, well, let's make all of these be 2 decimal places. There we go. Okay, so that was quicker than doing it by hand, but there's an even quicker way. So if you haven't loaded the data analysis tool pack, the statistics tool pack, do that now. It tells you how to do that at the top of the document in OneNote of this assignment. So do that if you haven't. But you now can click on data. If you've loaded the tool pack, it should appear on the top right here. Select it. You want descriptive statistics selected and say OK. And then we're going to fill in a few things here. So, whoops. On my input range, I want what values I want it to calculate the statistics for. I want this decimal feet column. I want columns blue. The output range I want blue, and then you need to click in this white blank. If you don't, it'll just change your input range. So I want it to put the chart right here. That's all output means, is where do you want to put this information. And then select summary statistics. That's all you need to have filled out here, and if you say OK, it should calculate all of that for us super quick. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can see the words there. I'm going to change this from column 1 to summary statistics. This blank row I don't need, so if you just highlight right there and hit delete and say shift cells up, it'll delete that. And then let's change this to everything having 2 decimal places. So I'm going to highlight it and go back to home. Why is that not working? There we go. So now everything should be the same if we calculated it right. The mean is the same, the median, the mode. Why did it not give us more than one mode? I wonder if I move this down, if it will. Nope, huh, okay. Well, that's kind of not right because we did have 2 modes. Our standard deviation is off a little bit because this is the standard deviation of a sample of our data, and this is of the whole population. So that's what I was going to show you how to calculate that really quick. With a function. So if we're going to do the standard deviation of the population, if I just type in equals st and choose this one, stdev.p, and that's of the population, double click it and highlight our values in the decimal feet column. And this should be the one that we want. And it should be the same as what's in the table. Oh, that one is of a sample, so I would actually do sample if I wanted it to be the same. So let me change this to an S. There we go. So see, that's of a sample, and it did calculate it. I don't really want that one. I want the one of the population where it uses all the values, so we'll just leave it at that. But this is a way to quickly calculate your summary statistics, all of your means of central tendency. There we go. Since we're done, let's go ahead and center this title over our chart. So I'm going to highlight that whole thing right there and do merge and center and increase this font to like 18, and we'll make it bold and underline it. Okay, so take a screenshot of this as you see it on yours. Let me put a border here actually. So yours should look like this with your students and their heights, with your hour, your name. Take a picture of this and put it in the OneNote document, and then take one with the formulas shown. So go to the Formulas tab, Show Formulas, and take a screenshot of this. So we know that you use formulas for all of these. Formulas here and formulas here. Take a picture of this. I would do a file save as and save this in your statistics file folder. So go to My Computer, your name, and hopefully you have a statistics file folder. And I would call this height statistics. And you could put your name and save that. And that's it.